be stupid to not know how to use it. So this is your handle. Don't pull. Don't pull. Right. This is your handle that you have to pull, and you pull with sort of both hands like that.
Right.
Okay, you look straight ahead.
And why do I do that?
Well, in case there is an emergency.
There won't be an emergency.
No.
No emergency.
No, but we always explain.
Good. Do you do the scrambled eggs and onions like this as well?
Yeah.
I tell you, they really belong in the kitchen, Jim. Oh, I like this. Nice. All right. Okay. What's happening?
You climb here without putting your feet in no steps.
Right.
You have your surface here, and I'll help you too.
All right. So, help me. You have to help me. It's a very small little cockpit, the cockpit of the Cap 10B. Just like this? Well, this is easy so far. You see, I wasn't worried up till this point, but then I didn't know what was going to happen.
Now we have to set you very tight that you don't change your mind anymore.
See, what she said there was, this way you cannot change your mind. Very hot and it's very noisy and we're about to go. But I didn't know where.
Well, Robin Leach is about to fly with Montaigne Malay of the French Connection. Robin, any last thoughts before you go up in the sky and twirl around and dive?
I wish I spoke French.
What would you say to her?
Well, I always thought that a woman's place was in the kitchen, you know. That's, I mean, I know that there are people who are going to be very angry that I'm a male chauvinist, but, you know, I never thought the day would come when I would be sitting on top of a barbecue and not be in the kitchen with a lady. And here I am, and we're about to go upstairs.
Have you done this sort of thing before?
Never. This is an absolute first. This act by these two people, Danielle and Montaigne, is one of the greatest aerobatic acts. The thrills and chills of the French Connection, and you'll join me for a ride right on the edge of your seat when we get upstairs.
And to the strange of the beautiful Blue Danube Waltz, Englishman. What's his name? Oh, Robin Leach, yeah. He's going up for the French Connection. Watch this now. They pull up and on the wing, vertical, over across the top in a loop, and right out of Robin's eye view, the back side of the loop. Robin's got to be enjoying himself now. That is absolutely beautiful. The Cap 10 is built specifically for acrobatics, and I don't know how many people specifically are built to go in the right-hand seat. But this is a unique thrill. And a switchblade, a crossover. Now we see the Danielle upside down and the solo loop posing. There we go. Both aircraft now going from right to left, and we have a horizontal 360-degree turn here. The French Connection is a regular contributor here to the fantastic aerial artistry we see at the Dayton International Air Show. And again, Robin's got the best view in the house. You almost hate to talk over the music. It's so beautiful. Danielle Heligoyen and Montaigne Malay, the French Connection.
How was it?
I feel I should get a medal. It's incredible experience. The most amazing thing I felt, I can take these off now. The most amazing thing I felt was you could reach out and touch Danielle. He was like, he couldn't have been more than 6 inches from wing to wing. That was an extraordinary. And I asked Mireille Montaigne if we could move it apart a little further, because I was a little worried. Then the amazing thing was, you know, as you start the downhill right at the into the ground, and you do that first turnover, the G-force, we're hitting about 4.5, 5 Gs, and you really tend to push yourself down. So I sort of closed my eyes for the first part, and then I snuck a look, and to see the whole Earth going round in this gigantic, you feel as if you're in the dry cycle of the washing machine at home. That's the only way to describe it. An uncanny sensation. But a wonderful flight, except it's so hot. There's no air conditioning, and what's even worse, there's no champagne on tap.
Would you do it again?
Absolutely, but with a slight modification. And I think it would be quite easy. We could put a little ice chest in here, and you could have some champagne and caviar as you did the loop-the-loop. And then your stomach would go loop-the-loop right afterwards.
Okay, Robin, thank you. One of the most exciting aerobatic acts in the world, the French Connection. Our friends Danielle Hengois and Montaigne Mallet.
Danielle told me yesterday, Jim, that she started flying when she was just 19 years of age, and she's really got the reputation as the #1 stunt pilot in the world, hasn't she?
These folks have a stunt pilot aerobatics school of their own in New York State, and they also sell these Cap 10s. They came over. He had been a part of the Air Force in France and had begun a bit of part of what is the equivalent of our Thunderbirds in the French Air Force, and had begun a propeller-driven type of demonstration team. They were in Cap 10s. He got out of the Air Force, came to the United States, began doing the show with the Cap 10, began selling Cap 10s here. Still a very small company. They don't make a lot of these aircraft, but between the aerobatic school, their performances, 25 or so a year, and sale of an occasional Cap 10, which has occurred here in Dayton, I guess, after some people have seen the air show.
Yeah, I'm going to buy 2 to take.
Well, you got to get 2.
Judith and I would have 1 each to fly back to New York
tomorrow
night.
That would be nice. That would be very nice.
And we'd do a couple of barrel rolls on the way. And
well, you certainly know all about that because you've done that.
I know. Right up there. I don't know how high we were up there, but it was pretty high.
Well, we had a camera actually in the other plane showing what it's like to be up there, Robin. You can we'll be able to show you in a couple of minutes or maybe a couple seconds a picture of yourself up there as you were actually flying with the French Connection.
See, wingtip, there you go. Here's the takeoff, and we literally are 3 feet apart. And I kept saying to Danielle in my best French, could you ask, I was saying to Montaigne, could you ask Danielle to move 5 feet? I felt a little safer, the 2 extra feet. And you see we take off simultaneously. We're now back to the live shot. And
1 upside down, 1 right side up. Look, what's that? 3 feet apart. Because those are very small airplanes.
Yeah, and they go through each other.
Actually, wing overlap.
Mirror inversion, right?
That's right. In fact, they're moving to the inversion. If I can find them live, where are they?
One is up the right way,
That's
one
right.
is...
They're side by side.
Yeah.
They're not doing the mirror image yet. That is the more striking thing.
Slightly optical illusion there.
But they will do that, and that's something you did, I believe.
Yep.
I did when I flew with them a couple days before. We're back inside the aircraft now. Danielle's hands on the controls.
And you notice they aren't shaking. If you'd seen mine, they were shaking.
Are you going to be able to wave to us here?
Well, we'll try, but you see how close we are. This is where we're getting ready for the dive, and I guess I pulled about 4.5, 5 Gs going into the dive, and I was a little worried. I didn't quite look at the earth as it went over my head. And Danielle told me to, and Montaigne, as it were, told me to not to look down at the floor of the cockpit, but to look at the gorgeous scenery. And once you get over that initial fear and worry, it is a spectacular sight. Now, this is what I did yesterday, what you're seeing now. Look at that. Look how close they are. At times, it looks as if they are touching. It's interesting to note that the lady always looks directly ahead, and Danielle is always looking out of his left eye at the lady, which is the way they do it in France. So I guess that's why it's called La Connection Française.
La Connection Française. These are absolutely beautiful aircraft. And Robin, you're flying at speeds of around, 200, 210 miles an hour. How smooth can it be?
Now that's close, because you got to remember this camera is in the next plane shooting this.
Yes. And they do this when you come out here. You'll be able to hear in the background Strauss waltzes, Beethoven music, and everything else. It's just an absolutely graceful
You could literally lean
display.
across and blow the other person a kiss. My chérie.
It's a beautiful ride in those airplanes. They're comfortable airplanes, despite the fact that they're obviously aerobatic and designed to do all this fancy stuff.
Yeah, very hot.
Very hot on the ground.
Very hot, and it really didn't cool off on my flight. It's interesting that the lady, again, Montaigne, strapped herself in with foam padding. Wouldn't give me any. I said there's something wrong here, but look at this.
I asked her about that, and she said that she does this every day. I only have to do it once. So if I get a little black and blue, it's all right. But she's not going to get black and blue every day.
But you are strapped in so tightly that you cannot move 1 inch.
In fact, Robin, I was strapped in so tightly that the blood circulation in my left leg was cut off, and it began falling asleep, and I had to have him pause for just a moment at the end of the runway while we adjusted the belt so I could get blood and feeling back in my leg.
Oh, look at this formation.
Done to the Blue Danube.
It's a waltz of Strauss.
Yes.
Pass through one another.
Why don't we join the public address announcer and the music and watch at least part of this exactly the way they intended for the ground audience to see it.
At opposite ends of the demonstration line, the French Connection team members perform the 1/2 reverse Cuban 8 to head back towards one another. And as they approach the head-on closing speed of about 240 miles an hour, they perform a maneuver series they call Avalanche. One of the prettiest of the aerobatic maneuvers is one called a barrel roll. As performed by the United States Navy, the barrel roll includes a 90-degree heading change when the aircraft is inverted, that is, at the top of the barrel. Performed by a single airplane, it is beautiful. But performed by 2 airplanes in formation, it has even become more poetic. Out to the left now, members of the French Connection will head into the center point of the demonstration area, and lifting the 2 planes as one, will perform a formation barrel roll. Out of the barrel roll, Montaigne Mallet in the lead airplane has a special salute.
We would like to dedicate our next maneuver, the French Connection, courtesy to all the wonderful people who organize the Dayton International Air Show, the organizers, the helpers, the sponsors. Thank you for having us, and we want to give a special salute to our good friend J.R. Whitaker.
is one of these maneuvers that is unique to the French Connection Airshow. And fly his airplane to a position just beneath her. And maintaining that back-to-back formation, Montaigne rolls to the outside, and they perform the mirror image 360-degree turn.
And Robin, you did this, didn't you?
Yes.
You flew the mirror image,
and,
hanging in the straps.
And in a moment, when you see me get out of this plane, you'll understand what it did to me. Because that is just an extraordinary experience.
It is Montaigne who is upside down, Danielle's right side up.
They're French.
And they're flying canopy to canopy, only a few feet apart, as you can see. Look how close they are. Very strange to look up, which is really down, and see a few feet away another airplane.
The turn,
looking up.
It's a good job they don't have movies showing on in flight.
That's right, that's right. Well, I get the feeling like the scene in Top Gun, you know, with a canopy to canopy, and you're inverted, and you see the next guy.
But I think these two call
I
it
didn't wave
top
quite
fun.
that same way. Yeah, this is Top Fun.
And you'd like to take a photo.
They're going to pass right back in front of us here.
They have one of the most dramatic and poetical shows. In fact, was it my imagination, or were those maneuvers timed to coincide with the music? It seemed they got to the top of the hammerhead, stall.
I think it's just
as the music paused and they fell
it's
back.
like we edit to music. I think that they choreographed this flight to music. Look at that.
I think they have the more difficult job.
I would say so. At least I keep my feet on the ground when I'm putting music on video.
I'm sure they enjoy it every bit as much as we
Yeah.
I'm just sitting over here being quiet, enjoying it.
Well, they were as cool as a cucumber yesterday. I mean, it's just... you've got to fly it to experience it, and then having experienced it, you still look at it in wonder and amazement this afternoon.
It is one of those things you never forget. If you're ever fortunate enough to fly with these people like this, it's an experience you'll never forget.
And they gave me a little certificate yesterday.
Yes.
And I know that nobody is going to believe me, but we did it. You know, you were waiting there for me when I got back, and we'll see what happened about that in a little bit.
Look at this. Two quick aileron roll together.
It's definitely one of the highlights of the 1987 Dayton International Airshow.
And again, this is happening very low. This isn't happening way up in the cloud somewhere with a huge safety factor. There is a safety factor here, but they're down on the deck. And it's happening close to the crowd, right in front.
You could take happy snaps easily without any sophisticated camera equipment. They're that close.
That's right.
I think they're getting ready, you know, now to come in, which is, I remember that position yesterday when we were filming.
That's right. They do the, what do you call that? That kind of approach, a tight downwind or something like that?
Yeah, it'd be an overhead approach or a tight
Because,
downwind.
you know, they land as if they were holding hands.
Yes.
On Champay.
And you can see here now that Danielle is cutting her off here to make the formation landing.
Yep.
They were in trail, and she's made a little wider turn. He cut her off in the corner, and
they get a little closer there, and then they land right side.
She lands slightly in front of him, and she lands. He lands just slightly before she does, because we don't want her to slow down while he's behind her.
And off to the side. And this is one of those situations where you want to maintain wingtip clearance, because if she touches down, she's going to slow down a little bit immediately. You don't want to overrun her. But she's lead. He's still flying formation.
And they are down.
And I think that they breathe a little sigh of relief. I assure you that I certainly breathe a sigh of relief.
You must have either been in prison or out of the country, because this is one thing.